15 minutes past 8, more or less. Coming up on the programme later, they say it takes 20,000 steps to reach the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, which is difficult enough for anyone, but for Spencer West, there's one big difference. Alex, though, will see Russell Watson's Union Jack. Did he show us his bunting?
No, he didn't show us the bunting.
Oh, later, next time round.
Didn't have time for the bunting, I don't think.
Now the summer's here, lots of people taking the chance to explore the countryside, but we're all being warned to watch out for something slightly more hazardous than the odd wasp or stinging nettle.
The Health Protection Agency says they've had almost 200 calls in the last couple of years from people who've been bitten by Britain's only venomous snake, the adder. Louise Hubble.
Thanks very much, Louise.
Don't touch him. Give them a wide berth.
They'll give you a wide berth given a chance, to be honest.
I'm sure they would. And you.
22 minutes past 8. From cat food to climate change, it seems just about everything's advertised on TV these days, but some ads are remembered for all the wrong reasons.
And that is where the Advertising Standards Authority comes in. It's been looking into our complaints about adverts for 50 years now and has dealt with 400,000 complaints in that time. Here are some of the ads which got people the most het up. We've taken out the particularly controversial bits. I thank you very much indeed, Guy Parker, Chief Executive of the Advertising Standards Authority.
Thank you. Coming up, the BBC News Channel has the latest news from home with her. Hope she doesn't bring her snow with her, because she's got a snowflake stuck in her throat. You know, the snow came down. Can you imagine doing that? Hundreds of millions of people watching.
She still grabbed it though, didn't she?
Did a lot of grabbing.
And there was a lot of grabbing going on. Time now to get the news, travel and weather where you are. See you in a moment. I don't think there's any snow. Good morning, you're watching Breakfast with Bill Turnbull and Susanna Reid. Our
main news this morning, Britain has a body image problem, according to MPs, with girls as young as 5 worried about how they look. The UN Security Council meets today again to discuss the growing violence in Syria. It'll be briefed on talks between the peace envoy Kofi Annan and the Syrian president in Damascus.
The Deputy Prime Minister Nick Clegg has announced the government's plan to offer 2-year-olds from disadvantaged backgrounds in England free childcare places. It's being brought forward to this September.
Children's charities are worried about a shortage of childcare places, but on Breakfast just a few minutes ago, Nick Clegg promised more help for nurseries.
Nick Clegg talking to us earlier. Nearly 70 senior figures from Britain's top universities have written to David Cameron warning that the government's crackdown on immigration could cost them millions of pounds a year.
They say
people in England who put their bins out for collection too early or leave the lids open will face lower fines from today.
The maximum...
That brings you right up to date, 8:34. Here's what's coming up later on the programme. We're going to be speaking to the author, Joanne Harris, about her latest book.
I would say, with 372 people voting for her, she had an avalanche of votes. Landslide, avalanche, snowflakes, you know, on the... Never mind. OK, hello, Mike.
Hi there. Tumbleweed.
Where are we going?
No, the snow. She was singing The Snow Came Down during the
year. So we can get eventually, 5 minutes later.
You have to explain it sometimes.
Sorry.
Too good for us, Bill. Too good for us.
There we go. A long time.
Hello, Mike.
No euphoria for Serena Williams.
Oh,
of course, euphoria.
Ding dong.
Yeah, a new experience for her, though. Exactly.
1990.
Other suggestions from viewers this morning. No surprise, really. Paul Scholes and Shearer.
All right. Thanks very much.
Let's have a look at this morning's weather now. Here's Alex.
You were worried you'd packed it away already. Thanks very much, Alex.
Oh, we like the bunting. Now, for most of us, this time of year means going on holiday or spending time outdoors with the family. But Spencer Watson's going to spend his summer attempting to... Spencer West, in fact, not Spencer Watson. Got Dr. Watson on the mind, I think, some of these scripts. Spencer West is going to spend the summer attempting to climb Kilimanjaro, Africa's highest mountain.
That in itself a huge feat. For Spencer, though, an extra challenge. He lost both of his legs at the age of 5 and will be attempting the 20,000 steps, more or less, it takes most people in his wheelchair. And some of it on his take a look at his story.
Spencer joins us now. Very good morning to you. Now, one of the reasons that I was told about your story was we were covering a couple of weeks ago on Breakfast the story of a male cheerleader. And someone got in touch with me and said, you are doing, I mean, you have done extraordinary things in your life and refused to be beaten. And as you say, you redefine what is possible. Now, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, people might think would be impossible for... you know, somebody with legs, but you are going to attempt it.
Carry me because I'm climbing with my 2 best friends, and then
when you're doing those talks.
So basically, anybody that will listen, but typically it's a youth audience.
Everybody has down days, and you are a very inspiring figure, and you have this energy which keeps you going. But you must have had days. I wonder if you still do have days where you get up and think, oh, you know, and it's tough.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You talk about doing this climb. partly in your wheelchair, which people might expect, although it's always going to be a challenge,
Yeah.
and perhaps being carried. But you will do a lot of it on your hands, won't you? Now, you do a lot of training to do that.
Yeah.
So what kind of training?
It's going to take us about 8 days, about 6 days up and 2 days down.
All right. Well,
Brilliant. We're going to try and hook up with you, I think, while you do that.
Yeah,
But it's
that'd be awesome.
fantastic to meet you, Spencer.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate
Brilliant.
it.
thanks for coming.
Thanks.
It's now 12 minutes to 9. Not many singers can boast this description. He sings like Pavarotti and entertains the audience like Frank Sinatra. But the New York Times, no less, once compared Russell Watson to those two musical heavyweights.
He's also a musical heavyweight in his own right. He's the UK's best-selling classical artist, and the UK is the inspiration behind his new album. I'm going to speak to Russell in just a moment. First, here's a look at one of the tracks. You may recognise the music. It's called Race to the End. Let's find out more.
So with that song, you've combined the two elements which are on your album. Really, you've got the Olympics
Yes.
here in Britain and the Jubilee as well.
There's also We Are the Champions. We saw a little bit of it
Yes.
earlier on. Now that
was the one. That was the only one that I approached with
We
a.
Are the Champions, and you went, whoa, hang on a moment, that's untouchable? Or did you think, actually, I'd love to do my own spin on this?
Pretty much what you said.
How did that work?
White Cliffs of Dover. Well, we used her original recording from the.
Because you are the UK's...
No, that's Leg End. Easily confused.
Started out.
Yeah, in fact, the bridge is just over there where I took the picture for my first record. So it was actually quite nice walking past it. It's changed so much in the last 12 years. But it's always it's a thrill for me.
Russell's new album.
Anthems, music to inspire a nation. Out now. His tour begins tomorrow in Manchester.
Now, from one legend, not legend, Sherlock Holmes holds the record as the human character portrayed most often on screen.
Now, a new series called Elementary is about to start on American television, this time featuring Sherlock as a recovering alcoholic, and it's not the only twist. What are the Americans up to? Peter Bowes has been finding out.
Whatever next, you might wonder.
Yes.
Still worth a watch if you get a chance. I
When
suppose.
American producers get their hands on your work, how does that feel? Shall we ask Joanne Harris? She wrote Chocolat, of course, made into a hugely successful film, and she thought she'd never write a sequel. But more than a decade on, she's just written a third book featuring the same characters.
As her second novel featuring the character Vianne de Lollipop Shoes upset some fans, Joanne might be a touch nervous about how Peaches for Monsieur le Curé will be received. Let's ask her now. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, were you?
Not really, no. I only really write these stories when something suggests itself, and I know that although a certain number of people may feel a bit apprehensive.
So then when you write about them again, as you did, what was the response?
Interest as to where this village Lansquenet is, and lots of people getting in touch with you wanting to know. So, here we go. Spill the beans, Joanne. Where is it?
It's everywhere and nowhere. Obviously, it's
It's securely in your imagination as the place where it is. It's
nothing to do with the imagination. Just communicating with the outside world, because when I was a teacher...
more to it than singing these days and the lighting. But also, you were saying as you were doing that lovely sidestep, trying to sing at the same time.
It's like somebody moving you like in focus.
But also, it was quite dark. The lighting was sort of somber, and you had the wind blowing. Do you think the song was wrong?
I like the song, and I like it, and you know, it.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had a message there. I wanted everything to be simple because today with so much.
Euphoria is available now.
It's number one everywhere, everywhere. Breakfast back tomorrow from 6. The latest candidate to be fired from The Apprentice will be here.
Now, though, we're going to say goodbye and thank you for joining us. Have a good day. Bye-bye.